Mint Salad and I saw The Last of Us episode 8. It is directed by Ellie. It's called When We Are in Need. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. And sponsored by my link tree, you can check that out after the review. This episode starts with Ellie dealing with the fact that Joel is still not able to move or anything. You got a bunch of dudes, like, while she's out hunting, trying to find food or something. You got an infection too, so you gotta find some penicillin somewhere. She's hunting. Looks like a bunch of dudes, couple of dudes are like, hey, you shot the deer? Well, it's ours. And it's like, Ellie's just like, I'm trying to feed, okay? I shot a deer for a reason. Don't steal my food. There's a whole, like, contention on how Ellie is going to take this deer back, skin it, be able to do anything with it, which is really interesting. It's like, you just got food, what are you gonna do with it? Feed it to Joel just raw? I would honestly like to see this, to be honest. That would be really funny. That would be really cool. But Ellie, she's like, fine, I'll follow you guys to the camp. You can have half of my deer. I need some penicillin. And so this is basically telling these dudes that she's got another person with her, not currently right now, currently injured. So they're able to be like, okay, we'll take you in. We'll give you a little bit of food. Yeah, okay, cool. We're coming with. Honestly, I don't know what's up with Ellie following these dudes. I mean, on the one hand, sure, you got like half of your food, okay? So you're gonna follow them. These are some strange dudes though. Like, I feel like they would want to do something with me. Mainly because they haven't said what their intentions are yet. They haven't shown any like, I would say not bad will. There's not like a bunch of bad will, but there's definitely a lot of, hey, our people are starving, okay? She's like, yeah, me too. I'm also starving. So there's some like, oh geez, there's some tribalism. That's the word I was looking for. There's some tribalism that is happening. So we have Ellie. She's like in this area alone. What's weird about this area is that like it's wooden, what I would describe as like a wooden house. Very wooden, big house. It's kind of cool, not gonna lie. There's a bunch of people there, and they're given a tiny amount of food, like tiny, versus the leader gets like a ton of food. And I'm like, this isn't fair. Immediately, I'm like, come on. You want your people to like be loyal to you or something? I don't know, give them more food than you eat. I mean, is it really that hard? I mean, there's also another way to rule with a bunch of people, is to make them scared of you. So as we see more and more of Ellie's perspective just infiltrating this weird area, it's like, oh, I'm becoming more and more scared as this guy talks more and more, and there's a lot of like hush hush. There's a lot of like, okay, we gotta do exactly what this guy wants. And if somebody is controlling a large group of people, and all of those people are like instantly like, I gotta do this now. I gotta do this. I gotta do it. Then something's wrong with that group. Not gonna lie, something is a little fishy. Also, I really like the reveal of when Ellie is told that the person that stabbed Joel is part of their group. And it's like, oh geez, so, okay. So, we kind of see what this guy's dealio is. He wants revenge. He wants revenge. A woman's, actually it was a child, a little girl is crying because her father is dead. It's like, oh boy, who is his father that died? It turned out Joel murder death killed him. So It's kind of a sticky situation. When this got revealed, I was like, oh boy, this kind of really complicates a lot of things, right? And because of this revenge, we have, luckily, Ellie barricaded a lot of the entrances to the basement where Joel's at. So it's pretty nice to see, like, when we have this dude's men, it's just like, oh, let's go find Joel, let's go find Joel. Then they're really close to finding Joel. Like, really close. I was very stressed watching this. I was like, oh, please do not find Joel. I like Joel, even though he does a lot of murder, death, kills, which I'm gonna call MDK for the rest of this video. So Joel is like, all right, I'm awake now. Ellie's gone, I'm awake. There's some dudes coming after me. I better be awake at the right moment, which is great. I like how he's awake at the right moment. When the little dresser thing in front of the basement door is open and Joel isn't there, I'm like, where did he go? But he's so sneaky. He's gonna torture a bunch of dudes. He's gonna be like, hey, where's Ellie? Give me Ellie, okay? And I'm like, this is what I expected Joel to do, okay? So much character progression from the beginning where Joel doesn't care about Ellie at all. Now we're at the point where Joel is straight up MDKing a bunch of people in order to figure out where Ellie is. And Ellie's not in a safe place right now. She gets put into this cage. The head guy is like, hello, Ellie. You know, you're a supple young woman. In this time of need, we need to have more children to populate the earth, which, by the way, I don't understand why. Just let all the humans die. The earth would be better for it. But no, humans are selfish. They want to repopulate themselves. No, stop. But anyway, Ellie's like, stop trying to touch me sexually. Please stop. It's just like, that's the tone. I'm like, I'm scared for Ellie at this point. I'm like, oh, jeez. You're in the worst place possible. As soon as, like, Joel is not able to help you, you get instantly, like, I guess, persuaded to be into their territory, and then get captured, get locked away. Also, terrible group. Running out of food, just feed them humans. They won't notice. That's a little sus. I'm not a big fan of eating humans. I gotta be very honest that as soon as they drop this huge bomb of knowledge, I'm like, what? Get out of there. You're either gonna get touched and impregnated, and then after you have the baby, then you're gonna get chopped up into little pieces after you breastfeed a baby and such. That's just what I think is gonna happen to you, Ellie. So please, Ellie, take care of yourself. Have a nice little time, okay? Joel's out, though. Joel comes to save Ellie, and Ellie's actually able to get out of the situation herself, even with like a little, well, like whatever those called, butcher knives, like right next to her head. Like, oh geez, they're starting it now? They're starting the body chopping now? Please don't. Ellie, though, she has to MDK this guy in order to survive. Totally understandable. But the next thing that they do, I think, is a little overkill. They burn down the entire community center. All those people eat, okay? That's overkill. I mean, yeah, the leader tried to chop you up into little pieces so you can be fed to the other people. But what about the other people? Now they're leaderless. What's going to happen? Is a tyranny going to happen? Also, I really like how Joel is like, all right, now, here to comfort you, buddy old pal. I hope this isn't too traumatizing. It literally is like the most traumatizing thing ever that exists. I really appreciate Ellie's ability to fight for herself and overcome whatever people are trying to do to her in terms of like violence or whatever, and she's alive. I mean, she's had to kill a lot of people at this point of the series, and I'm actually curious what her like mental state is like, because you know, after a while I feel like if you're just gonna kill people because of self-defense situations, I feel like it would get numb at some point. But honestly, I've never killed a person, so I'm not sure what the feeling is like. Joel, on the other hand, would probably heavily relate to whatever Ellie is feeling, and because of the events of this, I feel like they got even closer. They separated and they saw what it's like to separate from each other, and they know it's like not safe, so they gotta stick together. So I really like just the overall character progression from the start of the series to now, and I'm like, oh boy, next episode is the last episode. What will happen? What is going to happen? Are they going to find the place where they gotta be? So yeah, that's always fun. For that, I gotta give this episode a solid 8.8 out of 10. Episode 9. Look for the Light. It is directed by Ellie. If you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you, and also sponsored by my Linktree. You can check that out after the review. This episode starts the season finale, first of all. This episode starts with Ellie being born. Marlene is there, and Ellie being born is, you know, nice because we get to see where Ellie comes from. However, what I really despise, there's a moment when the mother of Ellie, Anna, she gets bit by an infected while she's giving birth. Like, in the process of giving birth. And I'm like, how would she be immune to infected if she's being bit while she's also being pushed out of the birth canal? Like, how does that work? Oh, we got a little bit of the little juices, the zombie juices through the umbilical cord as she's being given birth. And it's like, man, I really wish I didn't see how Ellie got immune, okay? Because this is stupid. It's straight up stupid at this point. Because I feel like it could have been cooler if Anna was bitten like a few hours before she gave birth to Ellie. It's like, ooh, I gotta find a nice little place in order for me to give birth to this child, or else she's gonna die in my stomach. And I'm also nursing a wound. Yeah, here I go. And she gives birth, right? And then Marlene's there. The guardian of Ellie, pretty much, at this point. Because Marlene's instructed to shoot Hannah dead. And I'm like, okay, now she's got Ellie. We didn't need to know how Ellie is immune. Because now that I know, I think it's stupid that she got any immunity from the tiny little amount that she was connected to her mother. Like, is that really how fast the disease spreads? Like, bro, come on. Also, speaking of Marlene and such, you know, they have a nice little time having to deal with the fact that they dealt with a guy who tried to eat Ellie. Yeah, that was kind of insane last episode, but this episode is like, oh, let's go to we gotta go find a way to find the cure. We went to the place, right? And there's a nice little overlook. Joel and Ellie are talking. They're having a nice little chat, right? And they're like, oh, we're going to find a cure. We're going to find a cure. All right, let's have a nice little cure time, okay? Ellie gets kidnapped. Joel gets knocked unconscious. He wakes up in a hospital or whatever the equivalent is in this world. Marlene's there. Wow, awesome. Marlene, who is basically a mother to Ellie at this point, has to inform Joel that, hey, in order to find this cure, you gotta be okay with the fact that Ellie is going to die. And hearing this news, at the same time as Joel hearing this news, I'm like, oh geez, well, are you sure there's not like a more effective way to find a cure for this disease than to just kill someone? Apparently not. Apparently not. And of course, Joel is very upset and angry. And I'm like, all right, Joel, on the one hand, you're really attached to Ellie, so I get you being like, no, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna go around the facility and start like shooting people. I mean, I'm being ordered to be taken away, but I'll find a way out. I'm gonna start shooting people. I'm gonna go to the operators. I'm gonna steal Ellie. I'm gonna kill anyone who doesn't comply. And it's like, Joel isn't the good guy. He's not the good guy in this at this point. He's just doing this for selfish reasons. Like, he's gotten way too attached to Ellie. He was given a job to deliver Ellie. And Marlene understands this, breaking the news, is like also distraught because she basically raised Ellie. And, I mean, I understand the reactions. Marlene's more of like the approach of, you know, this will help literally the entire world. One person dies for it. But one life is not equal to a million lives. Numbers game. Even if I'm like close to that person. Versus Joel is like, I don't care. I want Ellie alive. I want her alive all the time. And at this point of the episode, I'm like, oh geez. Joel, how are you gonna tell this to Ellie? You're gonna steal Ellie. You're gonna go on a little ride, go a little walk, go a little talk, have a little talk with Ellie. Hey, Ellie says, what happened? And Joel's like, well, you know, they found other times to find blood cures with other people who also got bit and still alive, which is such a lie if you see it, if you've ever seen it, because the way that Ellie is immune is very particular. The very, like, weird set of circumstances that gave her the immunity. But, like, no one else normally would be immune to this, I guess, unless you were born into this immunity, I guess. That's the only way that I know how. The show doesn't really show you any other ways that they could be immune, so anyone who's pretty much bit is turned, so just the Joel's like, oh yeah, there's other people who were immune. They didn't work. And so Ellie's like, is this the truth? Joel's like, yes. And then she's like, okay. That's the end of the episode. I'm like, oh my goodness. Despite the rocky start of this episode, the little pregnancy thing that happened, giving birth, I still hate the timing of being bit. You could have waited a few hours. Well, actually, you could have, like, had her bit for a few hours. It takes a few hours to turn anyway, so you could have it so it's, like, definitely an hour or so since being bit. Then she can deliver the baby, so there's enough time for the little pathogens to enter the umbilical cord, whatever the heck. Besides that, the ending has got me, because it's like, oh, geez, Joel is the bad guy. Just objectively. I mean, Joel has the selfish desires to keep Ellie near, and it definitely has to do with the fact that Sarah is no longer here, Tess is no longer here, all of his loved ones are gone, and now, faced with the fact that there's another person that he loves Ellie at this point. You can't convince me otherwise. It's a weird, obsessive love, but it's still like some form of love. Somebody in his life is going to die yet again, and Joel has the decision, he has the ability to stop it. I just think he's forever afraid of being alone. I'm really excited for season 2 of the show, because season 1 ends up on a very good note, because there is definitely some room for a lot of weird changes to the relationship. Like, Ellie, I feel like, is going to become disillusioned at some point in season 2 or something, and she's gonna like turn against Joel. Like, you could have like saved the entire world, but instead you decided to let me live. You terrible, terrible person. I don't even want to be here alive at all today or anywhere in any other time. This is a terrible world to live in. Joel, you could have had a better society. You could have had a better quality of life in like 10 years. But no, because of your selfish desire, like, no, I want to keep Ellie now. And I think it's because Ellie kind of reminds Joel of his daughter, but she's a lot more like assertive, Ellie is, than Joel's daughter, so I completely understand the little differences here. But I think Joel's not a good person no more. And now I want to talk about from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Very early season, Joel and Ellie, they don't really got any chemistry. It seems that Ellie kind of is like okay, whatever with Joel, and Joel's also like, okay, whatever. I guess Joel's obligation. And as they become more closer because they share terrible situations that they have to go through and deal with like a lot of trauma that they go through together, there's like an even stronger connection between the two towards the end of the season. It's understandable that Joel wants Ellie for himself, but I think Ellie would want the world to heal, even if she's not there. So that's interesting. Also, Marlene, she gets shot by Joel at the end. Very terrible move by Joel. I'm really interested to see how they deal with this, because, you know, Joel and Marlene not very close. Ellie and Marlene, pretty close actually. Even though she's not really present throughout a lot of the episodes, like whenever she is there, it's pretty notable that like Ellie's familiar with her. So, you know, it makes sense. And also, just a little journey of the outdoors. I love these outdoor shots throughout the season. Just each episode gets like cooler and cooler shots, especially towards like the 9th episode, where just this overgrown city is pretty wild. I love just seeing all the overgrownness. And Ellie definitely aged during the run of 9 episodes. Episode 1, I would describe her as being like a 14-year-old teenager with attitude, but she can really defend herself, so she's like definitely older in mind. Towards the end, she's still like 14, but like her mind is a lot older now. She's dealt with so much stuff that like a 14-year-old now wouldn't you have dealt with at the point. Like I think she's killed like 3 or 4 people at this point, just on screen alone. And so it's pretty wild. It's the most wild character progression I've seen that's also like captivated me emotionally. And Ellie, I'd probably describe her age as like, oh geez, like at least like 20, 22, 25, when she has to deal with getting herself out of this really sticky situation full of cannibals. It's like she takes the reins, so she's seen a lot. I want to see her more. I want to see her grow up even more, become more of like a really strong leader, and I hope she never dies in this series. So, also I should mention, I haven't finished the games yet, the first game yet. As of time of recording, I really do want to finish this. This season of shows made me be like, oh my goodness, I really want to play the game, and I haven't finished it yet. And by this final episode, I'm like, oh geez, now I have to finish this game. So I'm definitely gonna be streaming those whenever. So I gotta give this episode a solid 9 out of 10. Well, no, I can't give it a 9 because the beginning part is really terrible and terrible logical, whatever. It wasn't really explained why she couldn't get bit earlier. It's also explained like the time frame of what happens when you first get bit, and like a few hours later then you turn into a zombie. So you could have, like, within the little hours time frame, you could have made it so they got bit closer towards the end of the time frame. She gets delivered. But no, it has to be immediate bite, then immediate delivery. No, terrible. I hate that. So I'm gonna have to deduct it some points. Even though the ending is beautiful, I gotta give it an 8.9 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. YouTube really likes that. You can also like, comment, subscribe, share this video with everyone you know. Ultimate goal of this channel is for me to become an expert movie reviewer, so if I haven't reviewed it on a channel, there's a chance I haven't even seen it at all. If you'd like to request a movie in the comments below, you can do that. You fast track a movie review at patreon.com/ASEPresents for $20 a month for one movie review per 1 month, $3 a month are how to draw Pokemon tutorials posted there early, all at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grindiness of all these daily movie reviews, you can go to this link tree to find the way that you can help support the daily grindiness. So go here. And until next time, I'm Mint Salad Saw. I'll see you later, my sour croutons and bacon bits.